it really gives you a chance to see like the power of coming together, practicing individually, but then coming together as a group to create this amazing end product. It's a testament to your own work, and it's a testament to the work of others and how those things come together.
And I think that if we've learned anything from this, it's that there's nothing that can replace singing in person. There's nothing that can fill that gap completely in your life than singing in a room full of people.
Welcome to the Choir Baton, a podcast designed to engage with people in stories, ideas, and inspirations stemming from choir. No other art form, no sport, no hobby, no business requires a group of people to execute a communal goal with just their voices. Join me, your host, Beth Philemon, as I interview guests who are singers, teacher conductors, instrumentalists, and community members. Together, we'll ask questions, seek understanding, and share insight from our experiences in life and in choir. Well, welcome, Maggie and Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm like so tickled. I'm not gonna get emotional. That's weird. I like had this like emotional wave when I said your names. You guys, these are the first former students that I've ever had on the Choir Baton podcast.
Yay!
Woo.
And we have like really great stories together. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But before we jump really in, why don't you both actually, let's do this. Why don't you introduce the other?
Okay.
So Maggie, who is this sitting beside you?
Well, this is Jonathan Pelletier. He is a senior civil engineering major at NC State. He is also my better half and is a fellow music nerd, does a lot of musical instruments, pretty much anything that I can't do, and I can only do the one. So he's got the rest covered whenever we want to make music together. It's great. Also sings very good, very well. Sings very well. What else? World traveler, nerd, and
I think you're nailing me.
Coffee enthusiast.
There we go.
I did not know this about you, Jonathan.
Yeah, he roasts his own coffee beans.
This is a new development, yes.
Coffee snob as well, by extension.
A lot of extra time during quarantine.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And we can even
works out for me. I get a lot of coffee out of it.
I'm like, I mean, you know where I live, Jonathan.
Just hit me up. I'll send some of those dirty beans over there.
Oh my gosh, is that the name of it?
No.
Oh, I only have an espresso. I don't make regular coffee. So if you can put them in an espresso pod.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Totally could.
Oh, well, of course you could. You're an engineer.
Totally could.
I love it.
Of course. Yeah, it's what we do.
Yes, engineering stuff.
Engineers.
Jonathan, who is that sitting beside you?
This right here to my right is Maggie Hemedinger. She is a music education and Spanish major at East Carolina University. She is also my better half. We're each other's better halves.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up over here.
Yeah, you
Yay! Love!
Yes,
I'm so proud.
It's so gross. Disgusting. Also a world traveler. We have gone to many various places. Maggie is very active in her community, in the music community as a whole. She is the president of the ACDA chapter at ECU. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She is also on the music empowerment team at ECU. And yes, very involved, has jobs at a church here. So she's all up in that music community, but she is very well-rounded. Just came back from a study abroad trip in Chile, where she honed her Spanish skills. And yeah, she also has a pet bearded dragon, who is the best. We love him. And that's Maggie Hemedinger.
And it is because of me that they
Yes,
And it's
all
all because
because
of
of
Beth
you.
Philemon.
Should you say?
Crying.
Oh.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Should we say how we met?
Please.
Or do you want to tell the story?
No, I
think
want to
it
hear
would
you
be-
guys tell it. I want to hear y'all tell it.
Okay. Well, we met in freshman year of high school in an online Spanish class, even though we
Yes.
went to the same school. We didn't actually take that class in the same room.
Yeah,
We met online, pretty much.
kind of. I
We
mean,
were in
we
the
had
same
we had
English class.
classes together.
It was the first, like, we bonded over these online Spanish classes that we had together.
because since Longleaf was brand new, they only offered Spanish 1, and
Mhm.
both of us were in Spanish 2. So we took Spanish 2 online.
Anyway,
Also, this is a high school of like 200 kids, so
I mean, we had
Exactly.
classes together.
we did have
we weren't,
classes
straight,
together.
including
But-
choir.
And no, because
At that point-
freshman year we were not mixed choir.
Right. There was no chamber at that point.
We both did choir.
We both did it. Both did choir all 4 years of high school.
Yeah, but I was in the treble ensemble. He was in the bass ensemble.
For the
Okay.
first year. And then for the last 3 years, we were in chamber choir together.
Mm-hmm.
And in our third year, you came in and began teaching us chamber choir. And so in this room where we met once a day, every day for for our high school careers, we were interacting together. And anyway, a year and a half goes by of all of us being in the same room together, and Maggie asked me out, and it's all because of you, basically. It's all
Wait, I don't-
choir,
in summary, choir.
and yeah, it adds up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, as much as I would have wished that I had been like, hey, Maggie, you should ask out Jonathan Pelletier, that's not exactly how it went down. The part I remember is another choir student coming to me and saying, hey, Miss Philemon, did you hear that Maggie and Jonathan are going out? To which I responded, what? And Jonathan was also my teaching assistant, teaching conductor in bass choir that year. And I think I found that out in bass choir. And you're the first person I said something to, right, Jonathan?
I think so. You excitedly pulled me aside after class to be like, yo, what the heck? Finally, basically.
I mean, I remember it as you shouting in the hallway and announcing it to the entire school, but that was just my memory. I don't know, it could be off. I don't remember any of this whispering nonsense.
I can neither confirm nor deny. But thankfully, they have still continued to be in my life and be like, former students of mine, but like friends. But, we've just, we could. So let's also then back up those 2 people in your choirs, and you guys probably in choirs too have identified, they're like just very quiet, both fabulous people, but both very quiet and very different. And to be fair, Jonathan, your friend, like this was a very small school, but your friend group was quite different from Maggie's friend group as well.
in like a class of 40 kids, we managed to be
not class. He means like class, like
right.
senior or junior.
Yes.
Like
the graduating class of our
Yeah.
senior year was 44
40.
students.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, but somehow that class managed to like fracture itself into like 3 or 4 distinct groups.
Yeah, that's true.
And we
As they
were,
always do.
of course,
That's how high school for you.
as high school is. And we happened to be in different groups. And so that was an interesting aspect
Worked out.
to that. It did work out.
Yeah. So there's several different things I'm excited to unpack with both of you about this. One of those being, first, just expressing my gratitude like publicly to the both of you, because you have still continued to just show up and be present in my life, and it has meant more to me than ever. If you don't know my story, like Jonathan and Maggie said, I started teaching them their junior year of high school. So they had a previous chorus teacher 2 years before that, and then I taught them for a year, and then halfway through their senior year I left them, and I straight up did, not purposely telling them. I can still see Maggie Hemedinger's face sitting underneath a window in that room, and you never want to like single out a certain student and be like, you were the one I didn't want to tell, or I wanted to tell first, or but like I think I probably even said that to the whole class at one point, but because Maggie Hemedinger too, I mean, both her and Jonathan are just like literally so fabulous. I could cite many stories of Jonathan being so integral as a student leader in the year that he was a student assistant for me in the bass choir. And then similarly, Maggie in the chamber choir, like we were working on this Bach double motet in this class, and I'll never forget her walking into school that day, and it's like playing on her Spotify account. I have a picture of it somewhere as well. But I mean, just really great. But they continued to show up and support me in ways that they will like never know. When I went to my new school, and they would come and visit frequently. And when you're a teacher that feels like horrible for leaving your kids, like you could have easily been so pissed at me and like written me out of your life, and you didn't. But then also it like showed my new students that I'm not a super crazy mean person by showing up, and you became an integral part of their life, so much so that when I had students graduate and go to the college that Maggie attends now, they would be like, I saw Maggie at my orientation or something like that. So, and I'll like check my door during Christmas time, and they'll be there Christmas caroling. Just so many amazing memories together. And I've been Maggie's brother's voice teacher. And I also was Jonathan's brother's teacher. That sounded complicated, but too many like, or personalizations. Anyways, Jonathan's brother's teacher as well. And it's just been really great. But I think you guys have had such a unique experience in having 3 very different high school choir teachers. And I would love for you both to kind of speak about what that's been like for you. With being respect, I mean, right? Like people could say horrible things about me too, right? We're talking of, I'm just,
I'd say that they were very different, all 3. And I learned very valuable things from every single teacher. And I think as a future choir teacher, that has only positively impacted me, because I can see the things that people do that work, and the different styles of teaching that, I mean, all 3, when we had concerts with all 3 teachers, they were all fantastic concerts. Like nothing failed miserably, and so it was interesting to see. That like there are different ways of doing the same thing, and some connected better with others. And so I think it was a valuable thing, even though it's like kind of jarring a little bit at first to like get used to a new teacher and then them get used to you. But in the end, I feel like it worked out for me anyway.
Yeah. I love that aspect that you brought up concerts. I've actually never thought about that, and the fact of, I've always thought more day to day, right? And how, but truly the concerts are so, would you say on some level they are very unique per choir teacher as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they were all very different.
Yeah, so to have that perspective is fascinating. I've never thought about it. Well, what about for you, Jonathan?
Yeah, so it was really interesting seeing like how the class itself reacted to each shift in to each change in their choir director, because it was a pretty short time. It was 4 years and we had 4 different teachers. So we were, on one level, we were never able to like get that sort of like relationship development that some other choirs might get by having the same director for all 4 years. But at the same time, I think it really strengthened the bond within the choir, because the other people in the choir were the constant and not necessarily the teacher. And this might also be a side effect of it being such a small class, is that the choir members really didn't change from year to year. And it, especially since we were some of the first to graduate from our school.
There weren't a lot of people leaving.
Right. Not a lot of people left until we got to our senior year. Exactly. So, but yeah, it was sort of, the teaching style may change, but the style of the choir itself stayed pretty much the same. And I think the entire choir was able to like take each of these shifts in stride. And we always, like, the new experience always built on the old. And it was never sort of stagnant.
Yeah. And it never felt like starting from scratch either.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It's a testament to that choir culture as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think is important for new choir teachers to come into new settings, right? So you've seen 2, myself and the person that followed me. Yeah. What are things that you think it's really important for them to be mindful of when taking over, I'm using air quotes if you're listening to this, someone else's program?
Well, I think like kind of like what you did, which was like day one, establishing your rules, like establishing your style, your rules, and saying like, this is how we're doing things. And then later, as you're going, kids are like, oh, can we do this warm up that so-and-so did? I really liked that one. Oh yeah, sure. Let's figure it out together. Let me figure it out on the piano or whatever. And then let's do that a couple days. Like things like that, where you aren't like necessarily like starting over, but like kind of just coming in and being clear about, yes, there was a program here. Yes, there still is a program here, but like, this is how I want to do things. And then easing into like bringing in some other things from previous years. Because I feel like if you come in like too soft, where it's like, oh, what did you guys do? What did you guys like? It's kind of a mushy start, and there's not as smooth of a transition as you might think. Right.
Or yeah, the awkwardness of the transition gets dragged out for way longer than it needs to happen. Yeah, for sure. It's important but it's also sort of seeing where the director is at in their development as a director, and it's where you see where the choir itself is at in their development. And it's super important to make those sorts of connections.
Yeah, especially with like picking rep and stuff, making sure that it's not too above the level, but also like not too below the level. But yeah, kind of having a mix there.
Do you think that it is best, as being very recently removed from the high school choral setting, right? Did you appreciate time when rep wasn't as introduced as quickly and there was more like skill building, group building, team building? Or now, and granted, y'all were always in like an advanced choir, or when you were in the quote unquote like intro choir, you were the only choir at the school, but or did you like jumping into rep a little bit more, coming from an advanced choir perspective?
I think from an advanced choir perspective, I like to just jump into the rep. I think I probably could have used a lot more of those foundational bases. But I think I learned a lot from just jumping in, from sight reading, and I honestly learned a lot of sight reading from my neighbors around me. When they would get things right, I would kind of follow along with them. And then when they graduated or left, I had to figure it out on my own. And then that helped me a lot. So I think for me, I liked to jump into the rep because I liked singing the rep. But I definitely see the advantages of doing the foundational stuff.
Yeah.
It could make that progression a little bit more independent and more solid, I suppose.
I think that's something I definitely could have done better for you all, is even though you were in quote unquote like advanced group, finding ways to integrate more of those basics into your learning and studying, that could have made quicker transitions. So that's interesting, because we did, I feel like with y'all, jump pretty quickly into rep.
We sang a lot.
Yeah.
Which sure. I loved.
Yeah.
But
y'all were also a highly motivated group, highly skilled group as well. You're probably one of the most skilled groups of high school singers that I've worked with.
I think a lot of it was like the environment of Longleaf, of being an arts school, that like you're really there because of choir. You're really there because of theater. Like you're gonna do the work outside of class. If you're not getting it in class, you're going to go home and practice it or use a practice track or something. Right. You're gonna listen to Bach on your Spotify. Like that's just kind of like the environment and kind of the expectation almost. I mean, obviously it's still a public high school. Like there's not going to be every 100% doing that, but even when 50% does that, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and it also made a difference that a lot of the students came in with some sort of prior experience. Like even in our freshman year, the school was just starting out. Everybody was new. A good like quarter to half of the students in each choir came from some background where they already knew how to sight read a little bit. And if not, they already knew like the basics of
note reading.
Yeah, note reading or performing in a group or any of this stuff. So we were especially at an advantage because of that, because of being in an art school.
Yeah, that's a huge point. I can say, having taught some of those non-auditioned choirs, even in my short time there, the difference level of prerequisite knowledge between what y'all had and what they had is vastly different. Yeah, that's huge. What did you learn from high school choir that you have been able to take into life post high school?
You really need a very supportive group that you rely on to do a specific thing. I don't know if that sounds like really broad, but it really gives you a chance to see like the power of coming together, practicing individually, but then coming together as a group to create this amazing end product. It's a testament to your own work, and it's a testament to the work of others and how those things come together.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like putting in the work outside in order to, just like any group project, really, like doing your individual part makes a better whole. And if everybody does their individual part, it makes a better whole.
Yeah, like life is this weird mix, right, of the individual work and the group project work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say that it teaches you that you can keep on doing this stuff like later. Like I'm a civil engineer, but I'm still in the NC State state chorale. And it's honestly so nice to have that break from engineering where I'm just able to create with all of my friends in state chorale. And after this, I'm definitely looking forward to being in some community choirs, probably led by her. But yeah, it's a great aspect to it as well.
You like literally answered my question that I was going to ask next. It's scary. But I'm going to do an add-on then to what is different and what is similar about engineering and choir.
Ooh, that's tricky.
Well, you have a lot of group work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different though, isn't it? It's like different.
Yeah. So the group work, it's different sorts of group work. Like the ideal is that everybody does their own part and then everybody like goes home, does their own little bit, and then comes together. We put it all into one little document and then we send it on away to get graded and it's perfect every time. But that's not really how it works. Like that sort of figurative harmony is hard to come by in engineering group settings. Because a lot of times it's that any project can go any sort of direction, and that's an advantage to having like a director for a choir or a band or anything like that, because there's one person who is able to take it and go in one direction. And then also it's a lot harder in a choir to slack off and still be able to get the same amount of credit as you would in, say, an engineering group where you're stuck into this group and then you have to deal with that group. And then at the end of the day, you have to, in some cases, this is in like especially bad groups, but you have to make a decision between, am I going to do exactly my share of the work and then expect the others to do exactly their share and then submit the final product just with that level, or am I going to go in, do my share, and then also monitor the others, make sure that they're doing their stuff, and then if or when they don't, are you going to pick up that slack? It's a lot harder to pick up someone else's slack in a choir.
It's impossible, right? Like
it's impossible.
Depending on the size of the choir, right? Like sometimes they can just blend in and be lost in that, and that onus is different on you. Or if it's a smaller group, then like, I mean, it shows more on them than in a group assignment like that. Yeah, it's very tricky. Well, and you alluded to this, right? It's the creative aspect, but what encouragement would you have to anyone to be involved in choir once they no longer have a formal, way of study in it? Does that make sense?
Let's see. It's different for different people. I think it would be a nice break from my normal everyday. I anticipate working in an office. And yeah, just that sort of break and also that sort of community. Like, when honestly, when I think of a community choir after graduating high school or college, it's usually in a church setting, right? And that setting is more conducive to building a bigger community. But if you don't have that sort of drive, that sort of anchor point that one would have in a church, it'd be harder to get into the choir. But community choirs that aren't affiliated with a church are out there, and it's super important to like give them the light of day and make sure that people know about them, because a lot of people don't think that they can keep on singing after they've graduated,
Yeah. Oh, I could do hours and hours on that.
Wow.
I think there's a part like I've heard it, Beth. I've heard it. I think one thing that's really interesting, and if you're listening to this, if I was listening to this and not knowing the context, my first thought would be like, what is it like to sing in a choir at a university as a non-music major in a choir? But what's interesting about North Carolina State's choir that you sing in is that there are no music majors at NC State.
Right.
So you're all non-music majors.
Right.
Does that feel a little bit more, well, not that you have anything to compare it to, but does it kind of feel like high school choir in that instance? Because, I mean, you live through Maggie in some ways and her choir experience where they're all living in a music building.
Yeah. Both figuratively and literally living in that building.
Yeah.
So it's sort of similar. And this is from my experience in our high school choir and also seeing your high school choir.
Right.
It's similar in that it's really, it's not required at all in order to graduate high school or graduate college. Like, I am doing this, and I think everybody in the choir at NC State is doing this out of their pure love for choir. At most, they'll get a minor out of it if they take some of the other music classes there, but a majority of the students are students in engineering, other STEM majors like me, and they just need that sort of creative outlet that choir provides.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, Jonathan. Well, we're going to kick you off here. I mean, you can actually stay, I guess. I mean, I'm sorry. You can completely, it's your own life. You live your own life. But I am going to dig into asking Maggie more like music ed things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll leave y'all two alone for that one.
Okay. Thanks for joining the Choir Baton podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for, not only being a direct support of me through the years, being such an amazing dear student. I still remember writing your college recommendations. I've never been more nervous and intimidated in writing them for some of the programs and all that. And then also thank you for supporting Maggie.
Absolutely.
because I know you did. Yeah, because of thanks.
All right.
He's like, and on that note.
I'm just gonna head over this way. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Had a great time. All right.
Thanks. I was wondering if he's gonna take the earbud out or like walk away with it.
Well, he has to do some acrobatics to get out of my computer charger.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh, the cords I have over here.
Go outside.
All right. So let's jump. There's so much that we could talk about. But I also want to take this time to tell listeners, if you have been enjoying the Choir Baton podcast since March, or Yeah, at any time from March on. The direct ability in which to do so, you've been able to do that because of Maggie. That's what I'm saying. Yes. So in March, Maggie came on as the first employee, which very more out of the goodness of her heart than the money that I know that I've paid her, because we are we're getting there though. Anyways, Maggie came on because she basically was sent home from Argentina. I was swimming, Choir Baton was building. I wanted to have these conversations, and Maggie has been that one student that is just like, and I've been blessed with amazing students. But she's always had a knack of like reading my mind. Would you say?
It's a gift. It's my psychic abilities.
Yeah, and I don't even know how it happened. Do you remember?
Yeah, I feel like, did you reach out to me while I was in Chile, and then I was like, yes, but I'm getting on a plane on Wednesday next week.
And I was like, yeah, because you had to come home because of the pandemic.
And I had about like 6 hours to pack. So
yeah, Maggie was studying abroad in Chile as a Spanish major. In addition to music ed, you were doing your study abroad there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can't imagine like what that was like. And amidst like everyone else losing rehearsals and yada, 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 she lost that, full, complete experience. And then you come home and you're at home and you're studying. Oh, wait. And you don't even have your music classes.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah. It's hard for many, many people.
Yeah. Yeah. But, it gave her a little bit more time. And Maggie came on as podcast producer. Maggie is very gifted in audio and technology, and we've worked together for years. She would like come and film concerts even at my old school, and just, it was amazing timing. So thank you, Maggie, because I have no doubt we would not be to 50. Is this episode 55?
Yes. It's 54 or 55.
54, 55 without that. And so I'm so grateful, and thanks.
Well, I'm grateful to be part of the team. I love everything about it.
It's just pretty cool to get to work with you. And it's Maggie also does video editing for me for Choir Baton teaching membership videos and breaking them up, and I hope it's helpful for you on a certain level too, as a music education major.
It very much is.
So
well, I was just gonna say how choir is Jonathan's break from STEM stuff. Video editing is my break from choir stuff.
I love it. I know that feeling until you're editing choir stuff, but still, yeah.
Nope, it's fine. I love the content, but I don't have to do the music part. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, Maggie, let's talk why music education. Why did you decide to major in music ed?
Well, I feel like, not to make a really long story, but I feel like I have to go back to like what draws me to choir, because when I came to Longleaf, I was going to be on Broadway. I was going to be a theater major. I was going to just go straight to New York City after graduation, be in Wicked, replace Kristen Chenoweth. And that's what I was there for. And when I started theater and I signed up for choir because I like to sing and I've never done choir before, I ended up loving choir a lot more than theater. Singing in a community gave me so much. And so having that made me want to, one, stay in that community and never leave it, and two, give that community to other people by leading it. So that's what drew me to education, and music education specifically. Yeah.
I love that. And you have continued to just dig in. Let me tell you too, in high school, if there was a musical activity, Maggie was there. We went to all different kinds of things. It's funny. I have probably more pictures of Maggie on my phone than like friends, like certain friends, probably borderline my nephew. And I like to like randomly find them and like send them to her. I have great examples of awesome musical opportunities that we have had. What was a very memorable moment that you had in high school choir, in one of those like extracurricular choir things that you did?
I loved the all-state experience. I loved doing all-state. It was like, because those were like the nerdiest of the nerds in choir, and so you'd go in there and you go for with like a few other people from your school, but then they divide up amongst the other choirs too, so you're mostly meeting new people, and everyone is just so excited for the whole weekend about this music, and it's really inspiring. And even though you're in an ensemble of like 200 people, I've always found that like whoever is the clinician like really connects with you, even though like you might not even have a personal interaction with them. They're still just like, they're also super excited to be there. Yeah, but I think probably the most impactful was that NCMEA conducting symposium, because that was the first time that I ever conducted anything. And I think like just sitting there in front of the choir, I was sick. I think I had like 102-degree fever, but I was not going to miss it.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, I definitely did not tell you, but
Marguerite Hemedinger.
I was like, I got it down to like 100, but like, cause I took ibuprofen, I wasn't going to miss it. So I was there standing in front of the choir, and I know that would never fly today. I know.
One day you're going to call me and say, Beth, I have a kid that's sick that didn't tell me. And I'm going to say, mm-hmm.
And now I'm sick and I'm sad. Yeah. But just standing there in front of the like lab ensemble that we were working with, and when I lifted my hands, they sang, and that was mind-blowing. Yeah.
I remember that distinctly. I'd said like we've never actually had this conversation before, so that's amazing to know that was so powerful. I have it on video, I think, as well. Do you have a copy of that?
Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, if not, I need to send it to you. Wow. I mean, that's so cool. The fact that that was so powerful, and the fact that you were sick and I didn't realize it or know that. But I'm glad you were better. And I'm glad I know your parents and that they have not disowned me as well. So let's then talk about the collegiate music experience, because I know that will resonate with a lot of people. Why did you choose the university that you chose to study music education?
Well, when I was auditioning, I auditioned at 4 or 5 schools, and to be honest, when I was looking, East Carolina was not on the top of my list. I had done a few clinics here, and I loved the staff here. Dr. Franklin's incredible, and I was familiar with the campus, and I think that's kind of one of the things that kind of made me not consider it as much, because I was like, oh, I kind of know it. But when I auditioned here, I actually have like my like, you know how everyone has their like, I knew story. I stepped onto the campus and I knew. I came here to audition, and actually Beth had invited me to see the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir at Duke Chapel. The Friday before my audition was Saturday morning, and it was like an 8 p.m. concert, and I really wanted to go because I was like, they're from Estonia. That's cool. It's in Duke Chapel. I'm sure that's going to be incredible. So I really wanted to go, but I said, I have my East Carolina University audition tomorrow morning. I need to wake up early and drive there. I think I'm going to pass. Anyway, then I come to my audition, and I had a fantastic audition experience. When I finished singing, I got to speak with the voice faculty, and they just gushed about their program. They complimented me. They were just so kind. And then I continued on, even like with my placement theory test and the ear training stuff that you have to do. Even those professors were just so kind. I remember I had
I'm sorry, did you just say there's a music theory professor out there that was kind? I'm just kidding.
I love my music theory professors so much. But I remember when I did my sight singing, I did a sight singing exercise, and it was in minor. And so I sang in law bass minor, and then me and this theory professor like hashed it out. We were like, do or law bass minor, like why? And we were having this whole conversation. They were only supposed to be 5-minute, 5-minute scheduled times. And there's like a line of kids outside in the hallway, and we're like having this whole debate. And I that just stuck with me. Like they were, all the professors were so engaging. And, but with all of that, the thing that got me was, as I was leaving, my dad had driven with me for the audition. We were packing up, getting ready to leave. I was saying thank you to people. And one of the chamber singers who volunteered for the audition day has this stack of tickets. And they're like, hey, the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir is here tonight. Would you like a ticket? We have them. They're free. I said, yes, please. So bless my dad, but he stayed with me for another like 5 hours until the concert. We just hung out in Greenville, and
which there's not really anywhere to hang out in Greenville, so that's some sacrificing.
Yeah, he was very kind. We went and saw the concert, and I saw Dr. Franklin there. I saw some of the other professors I had met there, and I got to talk to them again, and we got to talk about how awesome those Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir singers were and what cool rep they had. And that's what really made me want to study here for music. I mean, there are other factors, because I'm involved with honors college and Spanish major and study abroad and all that stuff that drew me to ECU. But like the music program here, I would recommend it to absolutely anybody.
Yeah. Well, and ECU has a long tradition of, the last several music director of choral activities are very well known within the music community. Dan Barra and Andrew Crane. Yeah. And then, your voice faculty is just a baller. Jamie Rhodes, #Fangirl, and then Andrea Van Dusen, and I know you also love your other music ed professor there as well. This is not sponsored by East Carolina Music School at all, but I mean, if you want to send money our way, ECU, we'll take it.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, I love that. What has been different, or what did you not expect going into college as a music education major?
Probably how much work it is. I mean, I knew going in that, like, obviously I expected to do a lot of classwork, and I remember people telling me that, like, you don't really start your major until like your junior or senior year, like just as a general college thing. With music, that's not true. I suppose it kind of is, in a sense that like you do like your general music education classes, like general sight singing, piano, all that stuff, but you're living and breathing and eating music, literally sometimes when you're trying to eat dinner while you're practicing piano. And like, I think that can take a toll on some students for sure. Like I know it did for me when you're in class from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. Or with no breaks. Lunch is what? But it's just full immersion into what you love. And
but with that question, is there this cognitive dissonance of, like you just said, it's full immersion into something you love. You've been taught in high school, like it's something you love. And then there are times when you do not love it. It's work. It's not an escape.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know. Maybe it's just like the nerd in me, but like I've never not enjoyed a music class. Like there's never been an assignment.
It's the nerd in you.
It's definitely the nerd in me. Yeah, I know, you're right. But like, I mean, there's times where I'm like, I have to practice piano. But when I'm practicing piano, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, or there's times when it's like, I got to finish that theory homework. I have to write this music history paper. And then it's like a thing to do. But once I'm doing it, it's interesting to me. It's what I like. And
that's a differentiator though for you, I think, with some students, and something for even myself to learn from you and for people listening, is that you get started in doing it. I mean, I know you procrastinate like other people, right? Like you're not some like, massive angel. You are an angel, but not like the perfect angel, right? Like I know you procrastinate on some extent.
Definitely.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you do it versus some people don't, for various reasons, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But you focus on that good feeling that you have when you're doing it. And that's awesome.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I'm there like doing my part writing assignment with a grin on my face. Like definitely not. Like, wow. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely parts where you're like, but yeah, I guess it's the nerd in me.
You're talking to a fellow nerd. In some ways, we're different nerds in different ways, but I nerd out through writing out every single possibility of like flat IO, learning charts of like we definitely have that very much so in common. And like, yes, exactly. Notating our music in colors. Yes. And like,
I love to color my music.
All of my examples, well, I guess I probably shouldn't say all of them. A lot of my examples, when I've given the presentation on portfolios in the choral classroom, and I give examples of scores and song sheets, a vast majority of my examples are Maggie's, because they're so meticulous and beautiful. But yeah, I think that's huge though, the fact that, it's still, it is strenuous, it's full immersion, and it is a lot of work to be a music major. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think also like, for me, I didn't go in as like in a performance mindset really. Like I still don't, like I like performing, but it's not like my favorite part about music school is not standing up on a stage and singing. So like finding that individual voice practice time is like, can fall to the bottom of the list sometimes, but it's something you need to do. You have to be able to sing. Like you have to keep working on it. It's not something that you can procrastinate on.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect lead into something that we were going to talk about, right, though, is our voice. And the fact both Maggie and I in the past 2 years have gone and seen, we've been in to the Duke Voice Care Clinic, and we have both been diagnosed with vocal problems and gone through that. Would you share a little bit about what that was like from your perspective?
Yeah, it was terrifying, to be honest. I think it was, I remember we started the semester and I had some sort of like cold thing where I was kind of losing my voice, which isn't uncommon, happens to a lot of people. And so I just pushed through because that's what I usually do. And I think that week I was leading sectionals the whole week. So it was a lot of teaching, a lot of like leading, not really a lot of ways to rest your voice. And then I think it was probably that then after that I lost my voice and I couldn't even talk for months. And I think that's probably the only time I've ever cried in a lesson. My voice teacher was like, let's not have a lesson like the next 2 weeks, like let's just rest your voice, like minimize your talking and like all that stuff. And so I did, and then came in for a lesson like 2 weeks later and still couldn't make any sounds. I couldn't even like lip buzz, which usually if you're losing your voice, like you can at least do like a and so I remember I was just standing there and she was like, just do a and I went and then I just started crying because I just in that moment it felt like I would never sing again, and it felt like that was at the end of my sophomore year. So it was like, well, what am I gonna do now? Like I can't change careers. I'm 20 years old. Like I'm set.
As you say, you're over 30-year-old voice teacher who's not changed careers, but added another one. Yeah, but I too agree completely. Yeah.
So then I got an appointment at Duke Health and started seeing a voice therapist, and that, I mean, it just changed everything. She taught me so much about how to care for my voice and what to do when it's overworked, when I'm feeling like tired and have to sing. And I mean, she's incredible. But yeah, and I think that really changed a lot for me. First of all, another reason I had a vocal injury was because I was in 5 ensembles, and I will never do that again. I started saying no to things. I think some things. Talking about theory professors that I love, I have had one theory professor for 7 classes. I adore him. I think that he is one of the like smartest people in the entire world, and I just enjoy his class so much. And he is like an early music guy, like really like loves the early like Baroque music. So he has
there's a really great podcast with John Elliott Gardner on Monteverdi on it. You should listen to. I'll send it to you after this, and if you're listening to this, you should listen to it too. Keep going.
Quick plug.
Also not sponsored, but John Elliott Gardner, if you'd like to sponsor this, you know where to find me.
But he was like, I'm doing this early music ensemble, like, and I need some singers, and I was like, but me already being in like 4 other singing commitments is like, no, I will not do that. Yeah, that was probably the only time I've said no, but like it was a time, so it counts.
You've said no to me before in our working relationship, and I've been so proud. So proud. No, like really proud, because it's hard as someone also that doesn't say no to things. And I don't mean to, I'd say that literally, like really proud. Yeah, that's huge. So many good things. We could talk about that for like another hour and things like that. But I think that is huge lessons for music teachers and music teacher students, and singers to remember that we don't talk about enough is, what it's like to lose our voice. We take it for granted so often, and we also don't say no. We overcommit ourselves. We use our voice too much, and it's huge. I have another story for that another day, but I want to then lean into, would you share with us a little bit about musical empowerment?
Yeah, so Musical Empowerment's a nonprofit organization that I've been a part of since my freshman year of college. I was sitting in freshman orientation, and my now close friend Molly she was up there presenting about this organization where they take college students, and the college students are private instrument or voice teachers for students in the community that may not be able to afford private music lessons. And for me, sitting in that seat in the auditorium, I was like, oh, I get to start music education right away. Sounds good to me. Sign me up. So I joined as a teacher, and I joined as a marketing director for their leadership team, and I still do both of those things. The teaching kind of more off and on, but I definitely have been part of their leadership team, and I think that it makes such a difference in the community, and I think that there are several chapters of it. There's one that started at UNC, there's one at NC State, there's a few others in schools in North Carolina, there's a few outside of the state now, and I think that I talk to teachers all the time about this, like other musical empowerment teachers, but I just think that as much as it helps students break down, or as much as it helps to break down the economic barriers that can prevent people from participating in music sometimes, I think more so it helps teachers have a larger perspective on everything. I think that I can say with every student that I've had, I've learned way more from them than I could ever teach them.
I think that's also one of the tenets of why we love teaching, right? Because we've said we're nerds, we love learning, et cetera. And that is the beautiful thing about teaching. When you are up in front of large groups of people, you will inevitably learn more from those, 30, 40, 50, 60, 10, 1 people than just one person. So I love that you bring up how it builds your awareness as well. It's not a really great time to think about going into a career in education, right? Teachers are not these lauded individuals within society. Music education, particularly this year, has been a debated position of validity, particularly with the health crisis, and so on and so forth. What do you see in the future, right? Like, why still music education as you really are just beginning your career?
Well, I think that if we've learned anything from this coronavirus pandemic outbreak, it's that there's nothing that can replace singing in person. There's nothing that can fill that gap completely in your life than singing in a room full of people. And lots of people are doing great online learning things and fantastic work with music and musicians and so many creative things. But I think ultimately, I miss choir. I miss singing in person. We still do have some ensemble stuff where we sing with masks, and we have these big singers resonance masks, and we still sing, 10 feet apart or whatever. And that is something for sure. That is it means a lot in my life right now. But just being able to do that as a normal thing, like we could before, I think that for me raises the value of choir. Not having it really is making it more valuable than ever. And so you could try and replace me with a robot, but or computer, but I'm still gonna show up. So
I love that. We know this is a business principle, right? Scarcity drives value. And I think if we keep that mindset and we keep doing the learning and we keep preparing ourselves every day. Andy, in the episode he recorded where he was like, there's still work to do every day. If we still keep doing the work every day to build our personal musicianship and the personal musicianship of others, when we get the chance to have that opportunity together again in person, standing right next to each other, having that all-state type of experience, right?
Packing 200 kids on that stage and doing the choreography.
Yes, but there is something, it's irreplaceable.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I continue to every day be amazed by, at least once a week, if not more often a week, there is some sort of collaborative group singing that's featured on the news.
Yeah.
Even now. And the opportunity that we have is really amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, thank you so much for being a guest on the Choir Baton podcast. This is certainly not going to be our last conversation on here, I know, but I think this served as a really great introduction to you in this community. On behalf of the community, thank you for your work, because you know, this couldn't happen without you. So I'm so grateful to you.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can follow along with Maggie on social. She's not super social on social, but you're kind of social. Yeah.
I might social. I'm
Yeah.
about as social on social media as I'm social in real life. It's a good reflection.
This is true. But if you have any questions for her and about musical empowerment or being a music education major, being a Spanish music education major, Maggie is just an amazing resource. And, you know, we're so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for letting me pull Jonathan in kind of last minute. I just think it's a fun perspective, and, you know, I love his story, right? The fact that he still sings.
Yeah.
In a weird way, you guys are like an essence of Choir Baton, right? Like truly choir enthusiasts.
Yeah, that's us, choir nerds. Through and through.
Well, Choir Baton listeners, make sure that you are subscribed to this on all of the podcast places. If you want to leave a review, we would love that. If you don't want to, don't do that. And make sure that you're following along with us on Instagram. Maggie is going to be hosting a takeover on the Instagram account, and I'll be sharing a little bit more about this on Instagram. But if you follow there, we're doing takeovers still the same, but a little bit different, to where in a sense it's a takeover, but it's also a feature, to where the account that is taking over for the day will be featured on the Choir Baton account. There's a lot of different reasons for that, just to safeguard a lot of different things, both for the taker-overer, but then also for Choir Baton as well. But Choir Baton has first and foremost always been a place to build collaboration within people that love choir, and we seek to continue to do that through social media. But as we grow, there are opportunities to grow with us, and that also exists on our YouTube page, where you can watch this interview live. You can watch all the other well, you can't watch it live. You can watch it on video. You can watch all the other episodes on video. There are really great episodes that you can also utilize in your classroom, whether you're in, elementary, middle, high school, college. This is a great episode for college students to learn about music education, or high school students to learn about that transition, as well as some other fun videos as well. Make sure you sign up for our email list, the Choir Baton teaching membership, so much stuff. Choir Baton teaching membership. If you are interested in joining the waitlist for that, do that. Make sure you're in the know. I don't want you to miss out on anything. So thank you for being a part of this community, because together we are going to get more people singing.